Hi, I'm Slash, and you're watching Bobby.me.
You have an amazing and very successful career, but how did it start for you? What encouraged you to pick up a guitar for the very first time?
Really, it's simple. My best friend, when I was in junior high school, had an electric guitar, and he used to pick it up and bang on it, and it was electric. And he didn't know how to play it, but it made a lot of noise, and he put Kiss records on and jump around the bed, and you know what kids do, right? And so we had this obvious fantasy. It's like, we'll start a band. And I said, well, I'll play bass, right? Except for I didn't know technically what the difference between a bass and a guitar was, so I went to the music school in the neighborhood, no instrument, because I didn't own one. And I went in there, and he goes, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I think I want to play bass. And somehow he picked up a guitar, and I said, no, that's what I want to do. And and I just started playing guitar right then and there. It was really, it's crazy, because I was a big fan of rock and roll ever since I was born, and loved everything about going to concerts with my parents, and I was raised in the music business more or less. And it never occurred to me to be a musician until I was like 15 years old.
Is maybe there a concert that has stayed in your memory? This one of those first that you saw that really.
Well, there was a point there when my mom was working with David Bowie, and they were like dating for a while. And I used to go to a lot of David Bowie concerts, and those shows were really great. This was like 1975, and so yeah, those concerts were really great. And then when I got a little bit older and I got into music, then it was like, you know, Van Halen, Cheap Trick, Aerosmith, the Stones. AC/DC, you know, Ozzy. I saw Sabbath before they, yeah, you know. I never got a chance to see Zeppelin though. But anyway, so you know, those all had a huge, and I remember everything about those.
And you have had a lot of fantastic collaborations along the way, and also your previous album was guest starred, yes, with many different musicians. But is there still one that you still have on your wish list, maybe from childhood, that you would like to collaborate?
You know, not really. I mean, because the thing is whenever I do these collaborations, it's not like I thought about it beforehand. They always happen spontaneously, circumstantial. You know, you just happen to be introduced to somebody, and you're somebody that you really admire, and you have a conversation, and somehow it turns to music or recording, and that's how all these collaborations, or they just call me up out of the blue. So I don't have any sort of preconceptions in my mind of doing anything having to do with collaborating. They just happen.
I guess that's the best way. Tell us, yeah.
Real quick though, if I was going to do another solo record where I had singers on my record, which I did that one time, I had to call them, and that was a little different. And so, I mean, there's people that I didn't work with that I would like to work with on the next one. And I don't know if I should get into naming names, because that's a lot of them, but I'd love to work with Roger Daltrey, you know. Robin Zander would be cool. Paul Rogers. And Paul I've worked with before, but I'd like to write a song and have him sing. So if I ever do another, yeah.
Tell us more about your new album, and how did you get together with Miles and the Conspirators, and how was the whole recording process? Because I understand it was a bit different. It was more like a live performance.
Yeah, it's actually a really great story how this all started. I'll try and make it really short. When I was doing that solo record, I recorded some like 20 different artists, and but at the end of it, I had two songs that had been staring me in the face the whole time, and I just could not figure out who should sing these two songs, and I couldn't think of any big names that were appropriate. Anyway, and so that's how I met Miles Kennedy. I heard about him, and I thought, well, I don't know this guy. Let's just see what happens, you know. So I got his number, and I called him up, and I told him what I was doing, and would he be interested? And so he said, yeah, and I sent him the music, and he sent back a song called Starlight, right? That I wrote the music and he put the vocals on, and I was like, wow, that's really good, you know. So I flew him out to LA, and we recorded the studio version, and in that session we got to be really good friends. It was like really automatic. So then I asked him to sing the other one, and that's a song called Back from Cali, which we played both of those in the set. And at that point, I was like, you want to I'm putting together a band to do a tour to support the record. Do you want to sing? And he said yes. And so I auditioned drummers, and and someone told me, you got to check out this guy, Brent Fitz, who I'd never heard of. And so I ended up calling him up, and he was fucking the perfect drummer. And I had a bass player that didn't work out, so Brent introduced me to Todd Kearns, and he was like the ultimate bass player. So we rehearsed for a week, and then we started touring. And during the tour, it turned out to be such normally you'd call it a pickup band, but it turned into this really very synergetic unit. And I thought, well, if I make another record, I'd just make it with these guys. So when the tour ended, we got together. I wrote a bunch of material on the road, and Miles and I had all these songs. And so I got together with Brent and Todd, and we did some pre-production, and Miles came back from Alter Bridge, and he came in, and we worked up the arrangements and went in the studio, and we just played the songs live in the studio to tape. Like, this is the proper way to record rock and roll, period. And so we just did it that way, and that's Apocalyptic Love.
How has the music changed, the rock music, during all this time? You've had a long career. You probably spot some major changes that have happened.
Well, I mean, I've watched at this point, sort of the disintegration of sort of the spirit of what rock and roll is all about in the music industry itself, and it's turned into it's always been about money, but now it's really big business. It's very corporate, and everybody's jumping on the bandwagon to be part of the big money machine. Mm-hmm. So it's very processed, very commercial, and everybody's trying to, you've got American Idol, and everybody wants to be a pop star. So that's the biggest change that I've seen so far. But I don't think that'll last forever. I think eventually people will get sick of that. Music has become it's just as popular as it always has been, but it's become very faceless and disposable because everything's online. There's nothing tangible that you hold on to anymore. So it's a lot of changes. Yeah, now that I think about it. But I mean, for me, I've been doing it sort of the same kind of approach. I just do what I like. I like, it's not the touring that I love so much, it's the actual shows and being in front of a different audience every night. And those 2 hours that we spend on stage make the rest of it worth it. And I mean, I don't think anybody could say they like touring for touring's sake, getting up in the morning, getting on a bus, driving all night, all that stuff. But the payoff is to be able to get up there in front of an audience.
Okay. Yeah, okay, then one last question. One last question. You've had many awards in your career, but what is the ultimate award for you as a musician?
I think, I'm not really that big. I mean, awards are great in the moment, and it's nice to be appreciated for whatever it is that you did, and somebody hands off an award to you, I think probably the biggest reward I get out of this though is when some kid comes up and says, I started playing guitar because of you, and that's way bigger than any kind of sort of physical accolade.